My name's Shantha. Well, I was born in Sri Lanka and my parents brought me to Australia with the rest of my family to seek better educational opportunities. And so I came to Australia and I went to a local primary school and a high school here, Blackburn South High School, and I came to Monash University from the local high school. I work at Monash University and I'm a psychologist here. Well, I studied at university initially a computer science course, and I came in to study a computer science course and I found, you know what, that really wasn't for me. And so I switched at that point to an economics and law degree, and I found that economics wasn't the thing that really I was passionate about. And so at that point I found that psychology was the thing that I was really excited about. So I went on to finish a degree that allowed me to specialize in both psychology and law. Well, a psychologist, depending on where they work, can do a range of different things. So if a psychologist works in what we call private practice, where they see individual or groups of clients, they might administer certain types of tests to better understand what are some of the problems facing their clients. Then they might implement certain types of strategies or techniques to help their clients to get over particular psychological problems or behavioural problems. Psychologists work in a whole range of areas in our society. I think as a profession, it's unique in that way because psychologists can be employed firstly as private practitioners. They can work by themselves and see clients that way. They can work in hospitals. They can work in government departments such as Department of Education, Department of Health. They can work in schools and universities. They can work in companies, for example, in human resources departments. They can work in prisons, in law enforcement settings. So there's a whole range of areas of our society that need psychologists. There's a whole range of job opportunities for psychologists. We see psychologists working across a number of areas in our society, and this is probably because we recognise now that mental health problems are significant across a range of areas in society. We see that psychologists need to be engaged at the individual level to work with individuals and their particular problems. We see in organisations that are complex, that are large, could benefit from having psychologists inform decisions about who best to hire, who could best do a particular job. And then we see at a much bigger level, the world we live in and the society we live in, psychologists can help to identify ways in which we can improve conditions, particularly for vulnerable people in our society. So I myself have travelled a lot. It's a part of my training to become a psychologist. So I went originally to the UK and I lived there for a couple of years, and then I went to the United States and came back. It was the best part of the training was to get out of my local neighbourhood, move across the world and get used to a different way of life and a different training system. Well, the training pathway to becoming a psychologist seems long. And I tell you this at the start because when I describe it, it might seem quite long. But it requires a 3-year degree at university and then a 4th year, which we typically call an honours year, and then a postgraduate degree after that. And that can be a master's or a doctoral degree. Now, when you're first starting out at uni, it can seem like a very long journey ahead of you. And I felt like that as well. I felt like, how could I ever be at university for 6 years? But as I got into it, and as I found my passion was really in this area of study, I just loved it. And as I went on with it, I found that it became more and more interesting, and it engaged me more and more, and the years just flew by. I enjoy, as a part of my job, discovering new ways of identifying certain types of mental illness and developing strategies to help people to deal more effectively with mental conditions. So I love the discovery part of my job. I would say to take advice from people that you can rely on, people that can provide good information to you, but ultimately the key thing is to follow your passion, to identify, to work out what it is that can really keep you interested, keep you sustained throughout your years of study and hopefully through your employment as well, and pursue that. The absolute best thing about my job is knowing that I'm making a difference to try and improve the quality of life of people in the community. The best advice I've ever received is to find a mentor or a group of mentors, and it can be as early as when you're in high school. Work out who you can rely on to provide you with good advice, and seek advice. Ask your mentor when you're making important decisions like going to what course to study, where should I go to next. Seek advice, because I found that as I've gone through life, people like to be asked, and people like to give you their advice and the benefit of their experience. So that's the best advice I've received. So something I find really rewarding about my job that I never knew would be the case until I started working as a psychologist at Monash was the extent to which I work in teams of people that come from a whole variety of different backgrounds. So I work with people who have been trained in different discipline areas from different countries and different walks of life, all coming together to address one significant challenge that's facing our society. And I love that teamwork. That's what I really enjoy about my job.